Hey guys, and welcome back to World War II Solitaire board game channel and another fresh off the printer episode where we take a look at print and play games. So today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Panzer Dice 3. So we covered Panzer Dice 1, 2 and now it's time for Panzer Dice 3. So one thing to note is that Panzer Dice 3 actually comes in 3 episodes. We have episode 1 here, which is the main episode, and then we also have episode 2, Operation Crusader, and episode 3, which is El Alamein. So we're gonna go ahead and start and look at the main episode, and we're gonna play a few rounds of each of these just to give you an idea of how it works. So episode 1, The Rats of Tubruk, is kind of something new, because if you have watched the previous Panzer Dice videos, you know that it's been a tank simulator. The first game we are a T-33 in Russia, sorry, we're a Panzer IV in Russia, and then in the second game we are a T-33 in Berlin in Germany. And now we're not a tank at all, we're actually the fortress of Tubruk during the siege of Tubruk. So let's just go ahead and take a look at all of these. Sorry about the lightning. I know it's not perfect, and sorry about the barking dog. Anyway, as usual with the Panzer Dice games, the only thing you need to print out is just regular pages. There's no counters, there are no cards, nothing like that. So it's a very, you can go to a library and print this out, do that your job if you're there. There's no complicated stuff. So required components of this game is play sheet 1 and 2, and we're going to take a look at those. They're at the bottom. And then you need 8 dice, 6 of the same color and 2 of another color. And this is just something to make it a little bit, improved quality of life component. You don't need to have them in a different color. If you have 8 white dice, that's completely okay. But it's a little bit easier to keep track of things if you have 2 colors, but it's highly possible and not bad at all to have the same color. And then you need these rules and 9 different cubes to represent mines, and then you will need 10 more cubes to represent things like health and stuff. So basically 19 cubes. So I have these from the Halls of Hegra game. I also got cubes, from Pavlov's House and all of the DVG Valiant Defense games. And if you don't have cubes, you can use whatever, you can use nickels, you can use popcorn seeds, whatever you got. And anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the rules here. They're in, there's some color to them, but mainly in black and white. And I think it does a good job of explaining the rules. Now, the English isn't perfect because the designer is from, I think he's from Colombia, somewhere in South America. So the rules aren't in perfect English, but even I'm not a native English speaker. I can understand everything, and there hasn't been, for me anyway, any question that I haven't been able to look up in the rules and then not understand. So yeah, there's just a few pages of rules here actually. We're soon going to be done. And that's just a thank you note from the designer. Thank you for playing. And then we have game sheet 1 here. And there should also be a game sheet 2 here somewhere. Probably forgot to pick that up. Yeah, there we go. There we have a game sheet 2, I believe this is. Yeah, game sheet 2, game sheet 1. So if we look at the rules again, we can see how many pages of rules we got. This is just the introductions. I'm not going to count that. And this is just examples of the game sheets, how you use those. And here we have the setup, so I'm not going to even count that either. So we have 1 page of rules, we have 2 pages of rules, and then we have finally 3 pages of rules. So 3 pages of rules and then a bunch of examples. So this is one of those games that you're going to be able to, learn how to play in 20, 30 minutes, and you're good to go. So anyway, let's put the rules away and I'll show you how a few rounds will work. Okay, so this is how I like to play it. Have game sheet 1 the closest and number 2 up there. So setup is really simple. You have these 3 defensive positions of Tobruk. It's Bardia, El Adem and Derna, and you just put a cube on the max health of each of these 3. And then you take some cubes and put at the maximum of your water supply up here. your food supply, your ammunition, and morale of the troops. And yeah, you should have one also at destroyed panzer, and it should just be start at 0. And then finally you take 1 cube and put it on the first track, so 1940 in April 20. So now we're ready to play, and our goal of the game is a state of siege game. So our goal of the game is to keep Tubruk alive while these panzers will advance towards our positions, and we will try to, blow them out of the sky. So basically, you can see there's quite a few turns here, and we're gonna roll dice just like we do in Panzer Dice, and that's gonna affect the kind of options that we have to do. So let's start by rolling some dice, and actually you start by rolling 1, and whichever number you got, you want a high number, so a 5 is a really good roll. You get to take 5 cubes or nickels or corn seeds, whatever you got, and place out some mines. So I'm gonna go ahead and place out, I got 5, so I'll place out a mine in front of all of these locations. The enemy tanks can move in each of these 3, so 1, 1, 2, 3, and they'll start over here. So the cubes can be placed in any of those 5 sectors, and each sector has 3 spaces. So the game has 18 turns, and if we ever run out of water, you can see the skull icon here, we lose the game. So we gotta keep track of the water. Other than that, 2 of these fortresses, if they're destroyed, we lose. So we need to keep at least 2 of them alive. And then it's just like Panzer Dice. You take 6 dice, you roll them, and then we look at what kind of orders we can give. This was a really good roll. Basically, we want to roll everything except 2s and 3s. So we have a 4, which will give us defense or water. And then we have a 5, which will give us fire. And then we have mines. So with the 4, 1 can recover 1 defense or water point, 2 points for each additional use. However, we're at maximum capacity now, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we have fire. Spend 1 ammunition point against the Panzer Dice, use 2 for each additional use, but there's no panzers up here. And then mines, one place 1 mine cube on a sector of the map, 2 cubes for each additional use. So if I would have 2 6s there, it would be 3 mines. But I only had 1, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that mine up here in the middle, in the second sector. So now generally there would be panzers standing here if we would have rolled a 2 or a 3, but there aren't. But anyway, what you do now is you roll for panzer fires. You roll one of these differently colored dice, and you see this one would activate this box and this box, but there's no panzer there, so we just ignore that step and move on. So at the end turn, or the end of the turn, every turn, you lose 2 water points and 1 food point. We're later going to be able to get these back by getting supplies, and you will get supplies you can get air supplies or ship supplies. And you see on the turn track here, there's an airplane and there's a ship. So that's what's going to happen. And then we just increase the turn to next turn. And I've explained the supplies, which you will just roll to see what kind of supplies you get. And then you also have gray turns. And on those turns, you have to roll 2 of these instead of just a normal 1. All right, so we are in the next turn, and we go ahead and roll 6 dice again. And this time we're actually getting some enemy panzers. So we choose now where to set these guys up. And I'm going to choose one of them over here since we have the mines. And then I got this one, and I think I will put him in over here. Or actually, I might actually put him over here. All right, and then we have 2 4s and 2 5s. So the 4s again gives us recover 1 defense or water point and 2 points for each additional use. So this is going to give me 3 water points, but I only need 2 because I'm up at max now. And then we have the firing. Spend 1 ammunition point against these Panzer Dice, 2 for each additional use. Okay, so that's 3 fire points. So I'll fire, I'll have to spend 3 ammunition, so I go from 10 to 7. And I'll fire 2 shots and destroy this panzer, and then I do 1 damage on him, so he decreases his value, combat value, from 3 to 2. And I have killed 1 panzer. When I get to 10, I recover all of my ammunition points. Another thing to note here on the track is, you see there's a bunch of stars here. So if you ever go down to, not that one, but on the white star on these 3 tracks, you lose morale. And the morale is tracked here. And if it ever goes to the 1, you always have to roll these, as you see that it's gray. If it goes to the skull, it actually means that you lose the game. So you don't want to run out of morale either. And now it's time for the Panzer to fire, and you can see here a 1 or a 6. And I'm done for. Yep, he got a 6, so he does 1 damage to El Adem. You can see that's under his box. So we go from 10 to 9. And now he will move forward. However, there is a mine over here, so before he does that, we have to roll to see what happens. So roll a d6. If the result is even, the mine has been diffused, but if it's uneven, it blows up and the value of the Panzer is decreased by 1. So we want to have an uneven result. And we roll 6, so that's bad for us because that means the mine has been diffused. However, the tank stays in its place. Okay, we decrease water by 2 and food by 1. And then we go for a new turn, and this time this one is locked over here, so we only get to roll 5 dice. And we roll pretty badly, I would say, a 2 and a 3, so the 2 is going to go here and the 3 over here. And then we have 2 4s and 1 5. So we have 3 points to use. We'll use 2 points for the water and 1 point for the defense here up for El Adem. And then we have a 5, which should be over here, and it's a fire. So I'll fire at this guy. Remember to decrease your ammunition. And now the tanks get too far back. And we roll 5 and 2. So the 2 is going to activate this box. So that's going to be 1 point of damage here for my defense. And now it's time for the Panzers to move. So we roll for all of them. We start with this guy. And this time we got 6. So again, mine diffused. And then this guy moves forward. There's nothing stopping him. And then we roll for him. And we roll a 4. So again, the Germans managed to defuse my bombs. And we go back to water, less 2, and food decreased by 1. And now it's just going to keep going this way. So, you know, I roll again. I only have 3 dice this time, and now it's really bad. We have a 2 over here, and we have a 2 over here. So all of these boxes are locked, and then we have a 6. So, you know, it will let us put out 1 more mine. And the way it works then is you should actually have a cube here on Hurricane, because the way it works is that for the next time, if all of these Panzers are still alive, which they would be, I would roll again, and if I would roll a 2 or a 3, and now I didn't do that for some reason, I did roll a 3 now, this one has no way to go, because there can only be a maximum of 1 Panzer in each of these rows, so and there are, so what would happen now is there would be a bombing event. The first time it happens, it's a hurricane that bombs, so all of these Panzers go away, and your morale would be increased by 1. It's currently at 8, which is the max, so that wouldn't happen. And then, the next time that happens, it's instead a Stuka bombing, so again, all of the Panzers go away. I guess it's a lot of friendly fire, or more logically, they would retreat. And because it's a Stuka, we instead lose 1 morale, and then we also lose 1 defense point of our 3 fortresses. So that's how it works. It keeps going. Remember, when you get to gray, you have to roll 2 instead of 1. I actually incorrectly rolled 2 in the last turn. I should only have rolled 1. And again, if you get to an airplane, you roll a d6, and you look at the chart here, it's a 4. I would get 3 points of food. Thank you for that. And the same if you get to a ship, you roll on the chart, I get a 2, which would give me 2 ammunition points and 3 water points. Yeah, that's just how it works. Quite a simple game, and you know, just like the other Panzer Dice, you know, it's quick to learn, quick to play, and always, you know, like I always say, the more complexity that you have to a game, the more player choices that actually matter is usually present. So, you know, there is a limited, you know, amount of choices, of course. You know, you have to do whatever you roll. But there are a few actually play choices that is actually sometimes quite hard, and, you know, you really have to think hard before you decide what you want to do. So anyway, guys, this is Panzer Dice 3 episode 1, and we're gonna do a full playthrough of this. I'm not sure when, but it's gonna happen. But I wanted to show you also episode 2 and episode 3. So first of all, we have episode 2 here, which is Operation Crusader, and these two episodes, episode 2 and 3, they work just like Panzer Dice 1. So they're really small. You have the front, you have 1 page of rules, and then you have your game sheets. So in the first game, we are playing as the British. We have a Crusader tank. And, you know, it works very similar. The setup, basically, you put one at, let's see here, one of these starting locations. You have to roll, and we have a 1. So we'll start over here, and then you mark up your defense here somewhere. There we go. Ammunition, your fuel, and then 1 cube each for your defenses. So basically this is your hull and your tracks. There we go. And then it works just like the other Panzer Dice. You roll, and you put out your orders. We have the rolls of 1, which is awesome because it makes us change to any other action die, so that's perfect. And then we have a 5 and a 6 and 2 3s. So these 3s are going to be different panzers. And the ready orders, let's change that to firing. And then you have repair, recover 1 whole point on your Crusader, 2 additional points for each additional used. And then we have fire here, 1 shooting against a Panzer die or Pack 40, 2 shots for each additional use, and the Pack 40s are out here on the map. So this equals 5 shots, so we would destroy this and decrease this one by 2 and unlock that die. And then we have also destroyed 1 Panzer, so this one gets to 1, and I believe when you get to the top, I'm not sure if you actually, I think you do, instead of ammunition, I think you might get a heal. It's a little bit different that way. And then you can also see here that by moving, we actually have to roll a 6. So we have a 6. Well, let's not forget to decrease our ammunition to 12. And then we have a 6, advance on the field, move to an adjacent hexagon, 2 hexagons for each additional use. So we move 1. And our goal in this one is to get over here by that star, and there's a lot of things here that happens on the map. You can get into enemy positions, you can get into positions where you find fuel, where you find ammunition, you might find items, and you roll on this chart here, and roll a 5, and I'm not sure which one of this is 5. I don't really understand this circle. Okay, I haven't learned that system yet, to be honest. But yeah, so it's just like Panzer Dice 1. One little strange thing with this episode is that it says, so the rules are basically the same as Panzer Dice Eastern Front, but with a few variations. So here you have the few variations, yeah. The thing is that this is all you get when you get episode 2. You get these 4 pages. So I messaged the designer, I have Panzer Dice 1, but this is Panzer Dice 3, so it's weird that the rules aren't included. I mean, for you to play this, you have to have Panzer Dice 1, because the rules of Panzer Dice 1 is not featured in Panzer Dice 3 episode 1. So if you get Panzer Dice 3 episode 1, it's $150 US dollars, and you play that, and then you want to get episode 2, and you read like, the rules are basically the same as Panzer Dice Eastern Front. Panzer Dice Eastern Front? What's that? Well, that is, the first one, not the first episode, but the first game. Panzer Dice, I think it's called Panzer Dice actually, Roll 'em Right. I'm not sure it even says Eastern Front. So that's a little bit weird, and I messaged the designer. I said, listen, if you want to sell this as an expansion to Panzer Dice 3 episode 1, you have to include the rules. Otherwise, you can't call it Panzer Dice 3, you just call it Panzer Dice in Africa expansion for Panzer Dice 1. So he told me that he would include the rules in the game, and I really hope he does, but you know, that's not something I can promise. I am just playing the games, not responsible, but just a heads up. And then we have finally episode 3, which is over here. And again, it's just 4 pages. You have the front, you have the rules, and again, it's you know, just the rules that differ from the first game. So again, I hope he includes the rules. And then we have our tank. This time it's an M4 Sherman, and then we have the map. And the map in Alamein is different to the map that we see in episode 2. So we have a different map and a different tank, and you see here it has a different amount of ammunition, a little bit less armor, and so on. So it is interesting to play with the M4 Sherman and the Crusader. You know, it's pretty fun to try them out both. So all of these episodes, all of the 3 episodes of Panzer Dice cost $1.50 on the Wargame Vault. So that's $4.50 for all 3 of them. And I definitely think it's worth it, because I mean, what are you gonna do with $1.50? Well, you can play Panzer Dice free in Africa. That's what I would suggest. And if you don't have Panzer Dice 1, I would totally recommend it. I prefer even Panzer Dice 1 to Panzer Dice 3, and then Panzer Dice 1 to Panzer Dice 2. That's what I was going to say. I prefer that one. Panzer 2 is still fun, but 1, in my opinion, is better. But Panzer Dice 3 is really cool as well. I mean, that State of Siege engine is, I mean, it's a very basic State of Siege engine, but it's quite fun and it's quite clever. I spent a few slow night shifts playing that one, and I had fun. So definitely worth $150. And then if you want to try out the M4 Sherman and the Crusader tank, get those as well, $150. I mean, come on. Even if you only play once, I guess it takes about 45 minutes to an hour. I think that's 150 wise spent cents. Okay guys, that's it. Again, I'm gonna do playthrough videos of all of these 3 episodes. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, please get subscribed. Helps me out a lot. Don't forget to like and comment, also very highly appreciated from me. Okay guys, again, thank you for watching. See you next time.